What's going on, everybody? This is episode 4 of All About Comics. So, as usual, it's myself, an empty chair of GENEPAULACEPETER. He'll be with us shortly. And we got Comicfan. What's going on, Comicfan?
Nothing much, man. I'm kind of just here warming the seat for Merc while he's out on maternity leave. Big shout out to Merc. Just had a baby.
Big shout out to Merc.
Yeah,
that's
big
right.
shout out to Merc. Daddy for the first time, so obviously he's got other duties going on right now. I am more than happy more than happy to keep his seat warm while he's attending to his parental things. So,
that's right.
Happy to be.
He had a baby boy. He definitely named the kid Wade Wilson. Well, last name's not Wilson, but it's Lampert, but it's Wade Wilson. He calls him AKA Widow Wade. So it's pretty funny, but cute at the same time, right?
Right.
So yeah. Oh, our Canadian friends finally showed up. The time difference.
Hello.
Those guys.
We're actually having a snowstorm here right over the last 2 days. It's pretty brutal.
Oh, really? Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that your excuse? You sticking to it?
Yeah, I got covered in snow, buried, shovel hit me in the head. Like
Shovel hit you in the head.
And in fact, back here to lift the tail and tell it all.
That's right.
I'm back.
That's right.
Loud Christmas sweater and all. That's cool.
I know.
What do you got? What do you got?
Come on.
What do you got?
So, yeah, what's up to everybody in the chat? Roseas, Erod, Jared, Jeff Johnson, Stephen Van Gieter. What's up?
I was wondering how you said that last name. I'm like, is that Gelder?
Gelder. I look like an eye to me. Gelder.
So, today, we have a couple little topics to go on. We're going to be talking about the big two. We're going to talk about what characters could both those both those companies develop better. The writers and artists who were better, who were better out of the big two, who stood out the most, what made what fucking, brand. And then there's a little side one I want to talk about is why don't colorists get more recognition for their work on comics? I think we can go very far on those other two topics. So we're going to start off with why are colorists not given more recognition than they should, considering that they take a piece of artwork, a sketch piece that's just dark lines, and make it into the masterpiece that it is. What do you think?
I think that unfortunately it's not appreciated as an art form, and it is. It's kind of it was like you want to use that like a rock band mentality. You got your singer, your lead guitarist, your drummer, and then you got your colorists and letterers, and they kind of get overshadowed by all the other stuff that's going on. And sometimes, the inks, the colors can damage some of the inks that the work that the previous artist had done, and we'll get into some of those artists that have done that through the years. But a colorist can go a far way, man, and especially on the cover, you really want that pop. But I always think of them, they're the bass players of a band. They keep it going, they keep it interesting, and you see the colorists throughout. As the flow of thing go, get more and more notoriety. Also, though, you do find that now, but instead of having one colorist, you'll find that there's many colorists on a book. The jobs at hand get tallied out through various people, and whereas a lot of it's digital, you can just pump it out real fast. And I got to be honest, as someone who's colored some pages, it's a lot of fun. Coloring is probably one of the more fun jobs I can think of. When we did our book, so.
While you're on that, do you possibly know why there are two colorists involved on the job?
What now?
Yeah.
Probably because of time constraint. There's probably also, like, if you're a colorist and you're taking on 18 pages, 20 pages, you're going to get a bigger chunk of the pie. You know, the job's going to take a lot more. The bill is going to be a lot higher. But if I give you 1-2 pages and I divvy that out between people, I think my costs will be considerably lower there.
Okay,
but
it's not two colorists joined on the same page so much as it is just trying to cut down on time.
Yeah, oh, big time. And especially when you get modern stuff like what Rebirth is doing and Afterbirth and all that stuff, they're really pumping out, you know, bi-weekly and things like that and trying to get that out. Colorists also have, you know, in the digital age, have come out of the woodwork and been quite good at it. You know, we've learned some different techniques along the way and things that we couldn't do before, things we could create. And so now I actually think the idea of a colorist has now stepped into that boundary of creator as well. They can create an atmosphere and a creative feeling in a book that previously could not be done before. You know, I think about legends in coloring.
Erod mentioned Justin Pons. I don't know if you know who Justin Pons is.
I don't know who Justin Pons is.
Yeah, Erod, give us some examples there. What is he involved in?
Yeah. For me, one that always stands out is Vince Colletta. Now, Vince Coletta's work pops with color. Really just gorgeous stuff. But he was always known to kind of take away from the original artist's artwork, their pencils and things like that. Ponzer. Now, I don't know Ponzer. So, again, it was always a job that was, like, allocated towards not the stars of the thing, except in one condition, and one instance I can actually think of, Dick Ayers. Dick Ayers being a legend, he did a lot of coloring.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Dick Ayers, okay. He's saying that Justin Ponzer did the Ultimate Fallout, which, if you don't know that one, that's the one, if I'm not mistaken, that has the first appearance of Miles Morales. There's a Spider-Man thing.
Gotcha. Yeah. Very cool stuff. I like it.
Yeah.
You want to take next, Frost, or you want me to go?
No, go ahead. All right.
You know what? Man, Sean, man, I almost thought that you were going to go from bass player to, like, the guy had the sole purpose of striking the triangle. Damn. I was like,
gotta have a cowbell.
Right, yeah, the guy with the cowbell. Like, damn. Today, are we safe to say that inkers and colorists are one and the same?
Yeah, and Jared Osborne pointed that out in the side chat as well.
Oh, okay.
But he's commenting that colorists have taken over a lot of the duties that used to be handled by the inkers, and that's true, because the work of an inker I can do in a minute flat on you know, Illustrator program or whatever.
Yeah. It always seems that kind of a label kind of gets blurred together. So I was assuming, you know, me not being a person that's very knowledgeable in that department, always thought that it was almost one of the same these days. So okay, I was assuming correctly. So anyway, I'll just go on with this and tell you that I have 3 different categories that I personally like to put together my colorist or something I admire. One is the obvious team up of you got the Dodsons. It's very clean, very simple, but very effective. It's something I picked up at a local con. Got to meet the 2 of them. Great people. But basically, it's just, I'll show you just a little spread here. You know, something like this. It's nothing fancy, nothing that takes away from the image, nothing that's going to be very intensive in like a Photoshop kind of program or anything, but it still comes across very, very well. I think that team up is
really nice, soft palette, like, you know.
I agree. Yeah. Then, you know, there's always, and we touched on this earlier in the last episode about whether or not Hughes uses his own colorist. Some of us disagreed, some of us didn't. I tend to disagree, but I couldn't find the name of the person that did it. But when you come across also with soft lines, but it's taking one step further. I always admire, strangely enough, I always admire Adam Hughes' lips, how he always puts the gloss on the lips. And it's a very fine touch, very subtle, and it's something that comes across amazing. It's just something I don't see very often in something like a J. Scott Campbell. It's not very flashy.
It's true. It's true. You know, because you're talking about J. Scott Campbell or someone like that, and it is very sharp. But then you get someone like Adam Hughes, and it's very muted, but it works. It gives this realism tone to it. It's really, 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 really nice.
Right. So if Adam Hughes were to do just this black and white pencils, this is clearly what a colorist can do to a sketch easily. It's like, so it almost says, wow, do you bring the stardom to the penciler, or do you start focusing on the colorist? And personally, I would say whoever did the colors on this, amazing. To where almost Adam Hughes takes a back seat. And if it is Adam Hughes, well, then, you know, props to him. And then it comes down to the hoity-toity artist, you know, and I'm not knocking down an artist, but a person that's just not an artist, but an artiste, you know. And when I thought about this subject, I thought my automatic go-to was Milo Manara. It's clearly a comic book artist, but an artiste in his own right, you know. He didn't just do art for the sake of comic books. He actually does, you know, legitimate art. That's a bit risque, and risque is an understatement, because this stuff is a little...
oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Anybody... I'll let you guys go and look that out on yourself. Go check it out for yourself. But it's 18 and over kind of stuff, if you know what I mean. But
Right.
his artwork in this book, as far as comic book art is concerned, it's just amazing stuff, to the point where it's not just comic book art; it's actual art. That's my humble opinion.
The humble hog is a humble opinion.
My humble opinion.
So there's a couple things in the chat I'm gonna touch on before I say my little spiel. You do have Jeff Johnson. He's asking. Now I'm gonna run through all three of these. Okay. So Jeff Johnson says, so from a fan POV, not too sure what that means. Maybe you guys do.
Point of view.
Point of view? Okay. From a fan's point of view, do you think colorists are better now with the use of computer, or was it better back in the day? That's the question number one. Erod said, wasn't Sanat a colorist? And Jared Osborne said that Adam Hughes colors his own work. So let's touch on the Jeff Johnson situation.
Okay.
Do you think colorists are better now because of the use of computers than back in the day? What do you think, Jared Joe?
I would have to say almost the same. With the utility, with the programs you have today, absolutely come up with some outstanding visuals. But you have to keep in mind, back in the day, no matter how far we're going, what about the painted cover? You know, the painted cover, you obviously can't get the same effect from a painted cover back then as you can in a Photoshop. As much as hard as you try, I don't think you can come across and convey that same kind of visual. That's my 2 cents on that. Painted covers were their own kind of thing back then, and they almost rival what you can do with digital programs.
I personally think that, I look at that, some of the colors like I was showing earlier, Vince Coletta and stuff like that, just really popping. It's hard to really balance out what the difference is, because you got the paper quality then was different than it is today. So this high gloss paper, I mean, it's like putting a book in Mylar. It really brings it out. So it's unfair that we can't go back to well, I guess we could, if we break out something like this, which is the Silver Surfer Masteries, and I look at the coloring job somebody did on the inside here, I mean, come on, this is fantastic, I forget who's doing the color work in these Silver Surfer issues. If it might even be, okay, Sal Buscema doing the inking, so he probably did the colorist as well. But there's a lot, I think it's an evolution of an aspect of comic book making that has just changed. And for the better sometimes, but sometimes we have that downfall. For me particularly, I always hate when modern artists try try and create that faux motion. They try and create this fake motion by using the blur tool, and that's all they've done. Created the blur tool and the little smudge tool, and given this effect of like action, which some people will be like, that's great. It looks like it's actually happening. I think, like Jared again said, that was a task that was left up to the inker and the penciler and things like this. Now they can just void and keep it going that way. But touching what you were talking about, like the painted covers, you know, when you get Bill Sienkiewicz, or even more modern, you get Alex Ross. I mean, come on. You know, or you go back and see Frank Frazetta's artwork, or Richard Corbin's, right? I mean, this is where it's a big difference, and I don't think that they can capture that in what they do today.
And I don't think there's a place for digital in those fantasy covers with Vampirella and what's the cover I'm looking for? Who was Frazetta doing? Geez, come on.
Oh, Frazetta was working on a creepy, eerie.
The fantasy series. He did a lot of fantasy work pieces without having to put them into comic books. I don't think that has a place for it digitally. No, shouldn't even touch that digitally.
But then you get modern colorists too, like the one and only Nick Filardi. We're going to try and get him to come on. He's a really great guy. And this was a book I remember heating up with Helheim. I don't know if you guys remember Helheim and the heat that was going around about this Cullen Bunn's work and stuff like that. But what he does with this book, it sends this book. I mean, every page has a beautiful tones to it and stuff. So it goes a big distance, you know. But there is something to be said.
For me, I think, in my opinion, I do think the computers water down a lot of the artwork. But again, that reflects back to what Sean said. It's the paper stock, because there's no way in hell you're gonna get a cover like this on a cover today. Due to the paper stock and the amount of detail it took. What was that word you used, Sean? What was that word you used for this cover? You used a certain word for that cover there, Sean. But he doesn't know. He's not saying. But it's okay.
I was on mute. I didn't realize. It's monochromatic, for example.
Monochromatic.
Cover here.
One color, right?
One different shades with the same color.
Right. You can't really pull that off in today's digital world, I think, because it just doesn't break up as well. Digital don't break very well. You have to fade stuff. That you could do all by hand, and then also, again, that paper stock. That paper stock, I honestly think the paper stock needs to change. That's just my opinion. They just need to change. This paper stock is just kind of garbage. And I think it ruins the book.
Yeah, but you get somebody like Bongo Comics. I mean, everybody knows I'm a big fan of Bongo Comics and the fun stuff. The paper quality and that nice, thick, sturdy, and it feels like it holds onto the color better. I don't know if that makes sense. You know what I mean? But it today's paper stock and stuff like that, I think it does affect what we think of the colorist, and it's easy for us to say that the coloring today is much better. But again, pointing out in the chat there, but Jared, is that you got the good and the bad years ago, and you got the good and the bad right now, and it's just. But I do think that there's an actual progression of the art form itself, and like I said, it has come into its own as being a very important comic book creating. So,
all right. So with that, we're gonna move forward on to the next topic. Next topic we're going to be talking about is let's do the character development, because with character development, this can translate into the final topic. So, out of the big two, what characters would you like to see develop more in the big two, or just get better writing? Or artists. Maybe that could be the problem too. The art sucks and nobody wants to fucking get the book or something. So, Sean, I'm gonna start with you on this one. What do you think? What character do you think deserves more developing and better storyline and better hand in either one of the universes? Which I know you're gonna choose Marvel.
Well, it's funny enough because Well, with me, I'm not buying a whole lot of ongoing stuff like that, but I try to stay in the know, keep up with the kids and shit. But I happen to be in a time right now where a lot of these characters that I do like are getting reused. I mean, if you had told me that just last year we'd see Sleepwalker being used, or this year that we'd be seeing this Slapstick, or some of these characters being used, Night Nurse being heavily put out there, and but so it takes me back to something Merc was saying on the last show as well, was about Frankenstein's monster, Werewolf by Night, Tomb of Dracula, Legion of Monsters, mainly the horror titles and the supernatural characters. I would love to see them better utilized, and I also think that a character like Ghost Rider has completely gone off the rails.
Yeah.
I think another character, and that's the one, this is the one, and I'm not a Spider-Man fan, but I am a fan of Venom, and what they've done to Venom, they've totally taken a good idea and beat the shit out of it. And I understand you have to try new things, and you have to move it along and keep it going, but a character like Venom, he was good the way he was, and there was a lot to do with that character. And yeah, you can change him, but I mean, at this point, isn't he in space? He's a guardian of the galaxy, essentially, isn't he? Like,
it's turned into a bit of a soap opera.
Yeah. I mean, come on. But for me, that's that. But if we go over to the other side of DC, I gotta think about through the whole span of how Wonder Woman has been handled from the earliest times that I was aware of her to now, and she's been handled great by a couple of people. For the most part, no. And I don't know really what they're doing with Wonder Woman right now, but I don't know. Wonder Woman to me is always a title in DC that I feel like that they could have handled better. The villains just weren't there, and I feel there's a different direction to go. And most recently, we saw a sexuality change or awareness in Wonder Woman. I mean, that's while that's a piece of the story or an additive, it's such a small change. It's such an insignificant thing, and I don't think that in itself will make a character better. I think you got to do something big with a big character. You got to do something bold. So
yeah, well, it was something bold. It just was done in a different direction.
Yeah, and Jared pointed out Wonder Woman has never gotten the top talent, and that's true. That is true. And like I was about to say, one of my favorite runs of Wonder Woman has always been the George Perez stuff. Again, the Denny O'Neil stuff that he did in the 70s, the direction he tried taking it, yeah, that was a bold move, but he stripped her of all her characteristics and everything, and kind of dumbed her down to what was she, a detective essentially, right? Right? I mean, it was, come on.
Hey.
I just want to give a big shout out to Freddie's in the chat. He just showed up. Jeff Johnson, Erod, Jarrett, everybody. If you guys go ahead and share this video out, share this link out on social media, we would greatly appreciate it. We're trying to make this channel grow, sirs.
Okay, since Frost has got his little thing going on there, I'm going to go ahead and go with my character that I think should get a little bit more attention. Not that he hasn't received enough attention. I'd just like to see him more involved in the storyline, especially with the cosmic realm blowing up as it soon will because of Infinity Gauntlet. I can't stress enough to see more of Star Fox, formerly known as Eros. How could it not be any more involved in the cosmic realm? He's Thanos' brother. Yes, he's a pompous-ass playboy. He wanted to, fool around with the women and stuff, but he's part of the reason why that he foiled plans with the Infinity Gauntlet. I can't see why he wouldn't be involved in more of this storyline. I'd also like to see more of Thanos' henchmen, such as Terax and Morg and things like that. Things that made the cosmic realm great, but little characters that contributed to that kind of thing. I think could be used very well in the Infinity Gauntlet, whether or not they were just blown to smithereens in a split second and only had a small cameo, that's cool too. But I'd really like some more supporting characters in the Infinity Gauntlet. And I think Eros or Starfox would be a great addition to that.
Now, with the popularity boom in the cosmic aspect of the Marvel Universe, I mean, do you see them maybe fulfilling your wish and tapping into some of these characters?
I don't see why not. I have a soft spot for siblings and next of kin of major characters. It's something that's easily attainable. If I can't afford Thanos or first appearance of Thanos, unfortunately Eros is also in the same issue. But if you can go towards like Gamora or Nebula, something like that, it makes it more obtainable. It lets you have the opportunity to get involved with storyline without having to invest the big dollars for that key character.
Well, that Star Fox, they just brought him back in a new Thanos book.
Where? In the new
Thanos
series
book. In the new Thanos
great.
series.
Oh, thank you, man. I got to go check that out. I know you flipped through a couple of pages, and we did talk about it.
We talked about it. I read it.
That's great. He needs more exposure, definitely.
I mean, it's definitely a very, very quick read. It's a very interesting read. That new Thanos #1. It leaves a lot open towards the end, but it's good. I mean, if you haven't read it by now, I mean, that sucks because it's decently good. Basically, in the end, Thanos takes over his chair again. He comes back to his universe after the whole Civil War, I think it was, or Secret Wars. I think Secret Wars. I think it was Secret Wars, Civil War, one of the fucking wars. Goes. Basically slaps dude up, takes his chair back, and
that's my buck, punk.
That's right. I get top bunk.
Right.
And then basically this dude, the Contest of Champions dude, is going around picking up people because Thanos' son needs a team to take down Thanos.
See, just like a Thane. That's great, man. I have a soft spot for kids of major characters.
And who's helping Thane is Death.
Yeah.
Thanos' love. His love. The love of his life. Death is helping them. That's crazy, right? For me, though, on a character that I think needs to be developed more now in this age is Submariner. I mean, I know it's a fucking long-running thing with me, but I do think Submariner. If not Submariner coming out of the Marvel, it would definitely probably have to be somebody in DC, like, I don't know, Bart Allen. I mean, he didn't get that long of a run. Bart Allen. I think Bart Allen, he was a Flash at one point in time when was it Wally West that died? I think it was Wally West that died. So those, my opinion, those two, I think they both need it. I mean, yeah, Namor's had his long run back in the day, but that's back in the day. And there's one more. And I'll leave it at this. Black Adam. Black Adam needs to be done a hell of a lot more than what he really is. I agree. He's such a dynamic character, and the fact that he was kicking the shit out of Superman, and Superman needed the help of a whole nother person, is insane. I mean, come on.
Hey, come on. Hey.
So I mean, that's my vote for the three. For those three guys. You know what I mean?
Hey, Sean, come on. Hey.
Come on. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Real quick, I want to give a big shout out to Comic Crypt of Castle Hills.
Where is he?
He's watching from the sidelines right now. Big up to Mike. He's missed. Everybody knows him, and he'll be back in the new year. He'll be back.
Definitely.
He'll be back strong. So I'm really excited to see him. So yeah, brother, you are missed.
Yeah,
Thank you for watching. Thank you for sharing out. Much appreciated, sir. And anybody in the chat right now, hit that thumbs up. Get that up.
I don't know what's up with Jared. Jared is in the mood today.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm looking at the chat right now. He goes, I think we need a rule that people don't have to say hello or what's up when they enter the chat. We all know what's up. We're all watching the same video.
He just made the way saying hi to.
Would you expect anything less from Jared? Come on.
All right, I want everybody in the side chat to say hi to Jarrett right now. Type.
Right. Everyone's
Say hi, Jarrett.
So we're gonna move on to the next topic. The next topic is gonna be who is your favorite writer between the big two. Now, for this here, I'm gonna give it to you guys in two sections. One, all time, right?
Right.
Or you can do two-piece. You can do modern age, which is going on now. And when I mean modern is modern. And then you got copper all the way back to gold. Right. Or even prestige platinum, big mini book, whatever. Mini big book, cool. You know.
All right.
All of that. So we're going to go with Joe.
I'm going to choose the latter of the two things. I'm going to go with Jerry Conway. Jerry Conway actually did. No. Jerry Conway actually, I got that covered on both Marvel and DC. Jerry Conway, for me, I have a soft spot for Bronze Age, and when it comes to Bronze Age, Jerry Conway was responsible for bringing us the first appearance of Punisher. Not my favorite character, but he fleshed it out. He made that character believable. He wasn't a hero. He wasn't a villain. He was, somewhere in between where you didn't have to take sides. Along with that, he was he gave us the first appearance of Manual for the Jackal, little tiny characters that could be fleshed out for later use. He was a person that cloned Spider-Man, which was used when I was buying comic books off the shelves. It's like somebody cloned Spider-Man. You have two. That's amazing. But most importantly, Jerry Conway did the unthinkable. He killed off a major character, killed off Gwen Stacy. He is best known in Marvel, as far as Marvel goes, for killing off Gwen Stacy. Who does that? At that time, when I was right at that time, you did the unthinkable, Jerry Conway. You killed off a character. I don't recall anything before this of any writer brave enough to do such a thing. Of course, a lot of that gets trumped off now because everybody says somebody killed off Superman. No, before that, there was this. Somebody killed off a major character, which was Spider-Man's love interest, Gwen Stacy. Now, as far as DC is concerned, Marvel overshadows that. As far as DC, most notable, he was giving us the introduction of Killer Croc and Jason Todd. Sounds good to me. If you give us the introduction, you can flesh out a great character like Killer Croc. You're all thumbs up in my book. Now, as far as current is concerned, moving on over, I read an unbelievable story, and it's done by Brian Azzarello. Brian Azzarello wrote this great book, although I don't have it on me at the time. He wrote this hardcover. He called something. He wrote something called Joker. Go check it out. So there you go.
No, I'm going to call time real quick. You can get back into your rant.
Oh, I'm sorry. You calling time out?
Yeah, Jared Osborne goes, Conway was actually ordered to kill off Gwen Stacy. He didn't want to.
Oh.
The plot thickens.
Dun, dun, dun. Very interesting. From the Marvel bullpen. Thank you very much, Mr. Osborne. That's awesome news. Joker was done by Brian Azzarello, and he gave us a very unique perspective of the Joker seen through the eyes of a young thug that's just been hired on to his henchman crew. And it's an unbelievable story, something that I really admire that you just don't see. You see the craziness of the Joker through somebody else's eyes, which was amazing. To me, I think it takes a lot of thought to bring a character to life through somebody else. So there you go.
Well, Jonathan.
Yes, sir.
What do you got, buddy?
Oh, man. So my options are what? To pick the old or the new? You know what? Flipping script, picking both, just doing it.
Damn.
Damn. All right, so one I want to talk about, you can't talk about Conway without talking about Roy Thomas. All right. I mean, that Marvel writing in the Bronze Age, hands down, done. Whatever, done. Roy Thomas created amazing characters. Vision, Valkyrie, Man-Thing, Ultron, Satana, and some of my favorites like Stingray, the Glob, Tiger Shark, just all these morts and stuff. But most importantly, I think he brought into one of my favorite genres. He brought in Conan, and I think that's a title in 1970 that shaped the Bronze Age for bringing in that swords and sorceries, bringing it into the Bronze Age itself. DC latched on to that and blew it up after the popularity of Conan. But he's got an extensive career with Marvel and DC, but definitely more so with Marvel. Until him and I think Jared can correct me here, but him and Jim Shooter had it out at the time, and then called it quits. But for me, Roy Thomas also co-created one of my favorite books, which is Night Nurse. So Roy Thomas has a soft spot with me. I'm an artist guy. I really draw into the artwork, but a good book is a good book, man. Yeah. And really, I've got to say, as much as I love the Silver and Bronze Age, and I do, modern writing has really stepped up their game compared to the artwork of today, and you get writers who are just so deep. I think writers like Jeff Lemire. Jeff Lemire is probably my favorite modern writer. I love it. I love this book in particular. This was my early exposure to Jeff Lemire, because I hadn't heard him until this, and then Animal Man, the New 52. Yes, I was picking up a New 52 book, but there's a lot of talent right now. Bendis was one writer that brought me back into the modern age and actually started picking up stuff. But I mean, Marvel again, killing it. You had Warren Ellis, Moon Knight. You had Mark Waid's Daredevil. You had Matt Fraction doing that Hawkeye run.
There you go.
Just recently on the Four Awesome Guys, which this video will also, it's going to get put on this channel. We did an interview with Frank Barbier, and another amazing writer who's doing all kinds of stuff right now with Image. So yeah, it's hard to pick. It's hard to say, but if I had to lean towards something that appeals to me more, it's the writing of today. The artwork of yesterday is really what pulls me in. All this flashy boobs and stuff of today, it's all great. Don't get me wrong, but it's just I'm more drawn to that there. But the writing of today, top tier, sir. Brian K. Vaughan, boom, through the roof. I mean, what are some of your favorite writers? Comment in chat to the side.
Oh, please, yeah, I'd love to hear that.
Yeah.
No, I completely agree.
How about you, Frost?
I was gonna say Matt Fraction, but somebody was about him. Because we all know I'm a Hawkeye.
Oh yeah, I was gonna take that from you, but I was gonna leave.
I stole it. Biggie stole one from me out here in the chat. Actually, I can't believe I forgot that. Mark Millar.
Yeah.
I love Mark Millar. Come on.
Yeah.
Jupiter's Legacy. Come on. Well, Jupiter's Legacy. Super Crooks.
I'm sorry. As Biggie's did to me earlier in a contest video, downgraded my character that I picked. I'm gonna downgrade one of his writers, Scott Steitner. That guy is meh. Okay, he's meh. All right, anybody can write Batman. Anybody can write the Blair Witch Project. Okay, meh. It takes a real man to write a real book. Okay, a real man. I can go down a list. Stan Lee, Jonathan Hickman. Look, JLS, right as I was saying it. JLS writes. Jonathan Hickman. Well, Eric Powell, I can agree. Eric Powell, great. Garth Ennis, amazing. But for me, when it comes to it, just today, because we're talking about the topic, I'm like, man, I really love reading the Tales to Suspense, Tales to Astonish, and the, what is this? All of it's all done by Stan Lee. And I'm like, wait a minute, or in Strange Tales. I didn't realize it was Stan Lee. I thought it was somebody else, right? So I am actually a fan of Stan Lee's writing. And I don't think it's his writing that I'm a fan of. I think it's the style that it was written. I don't think it's just Stan Lee himself. I think what it is the style of how the comic book was written at the time. Because at the time, they had the little square boxes that would give you a little thing as he walks down the hallway eating his donut to go defeat Medusa. You know what I mean? Shit like that was cool. And they had really good dialogue. It wasn't this quick, like, if I'm not mistaken, Jared Osborne said that if I wanted to read an Invincible book and I had 5 minutes before I had to leave, I could read that book within 5 minutes. You know? I mean, that's how it is nowadays with these books.
I would actually compare the Invincible to Stan Lee's kind of writing, and the fact that in Invincible you had somebody who had superpowers that had real life problems, and I see Stan Lee as that being the same. He develops Spider-Man with a kid who had these superpowers, but yet he still had problems at home. You know? Right.
Now, it's funny as hell. Big E's mentioned I haven't read his new book. He's talking about Scott Snyder. Mm. I haven't read his new book. That's funny. Because I have not mentioned about this book. Because the last time I mentioned a book to people, Hillbilly, nobody wanted to get it until it got popular. Scott Snyder, the AD Afterbirth, I mentioned that when it came out in the Marvels, or not the Marvels, the Image Previews catalog that they had when it first came out, the first issue. It was in there. I said, this is going to be a hit. Go get it, everybody. Yeah, I haven't really heard much about it. I did pick it up. I did read it. Matter of fact, myself, Cammy, G.E. J-Rod, and Punisher88 are talking about doing a chat video where we talk about the book because it was good. It definitely was good.
That'd be good.
But
you should do that.
That's one out of, which is Batman. What was that other crap he did? I think he did Batman Eternals for a little bit there as well. I mean, come on.
Do you think it's easier writing for, or more difficult writing for a character that you can't kill? You can't kill. You're not allowed to kill.
Such as death?
Such as Batman. You can't kill Batman.
Oh, okay, and the fact that it's a fan favorite.
Yeah.
Right. When writing for a character like that, in my eyes, my opinion, this is just me, it's my opinion on this. When you write a Batman story, you got to be on the top of your game, and if you're not, on top of your game writing Batman, it's gonna be garbage, right? I mean, look at what's his name right now, King. I think his name's King right now, the one that's writing Batman right now. Nobody likes it. Everyone's dropping it. You know, I mean, I'm not saying that. I'm not gonna sit there and say that Scott Snyder's a bad writer. He's definitely not. He is a good writer. He did take Batman from issue 1 all the way to 51. He couldn't finish out his damn story. But I mean, it was good. He revitalized Batman for a lot of people, except for Jared Osborne. If you ask Jared Osborne, he's saying it's shit and he can't fucking finish out a story to save his life.
Well, maybe you don't have to finish out a story. How about Frank Miller? Frank Miller didn't have to finish out a whole story or a series. He came up, they brought him The Dark Knight Returns, where he took good old-fashioned Batman, a costume crusader, into this creature-like vigilante, that was very gritty, very raw, and very dark. I don't think you really have to finish out a run. You give somebody the authority to run with a book or a storyline, and somebody like Frank Miller could do it.
And so Jared Osborne chimed in on what I said. Jared says Snyder ignores his own cliffhangers. It drives him crazy. And then Rage, he says, tire out the bat, man. And I agree. And I mean, I know Big E's will definitely agree with me that they should bring Batman Beyond into the main verse. I think Batman should take over. I think he should definitely take over the mantle of Batman completely, solely.
That's smart. Especially when Marvel's doing that same thing right now. I think it's smart for DC to follow suit with that.
Right, absolutely. I mean, it's either that or Batman is out of the fucking picture and you take that little fucker of a kid that he has, that badass little piece of shit, Damien, make him something. Either, you know what? Bring Batman Beyond in and make Damian Wayne the baddest villain next to the Joker. Make him the next baddest villain. I see that working. Make him destroy Teen Titans and then turn around and fucking wreck shop in Gotham. My thoughts.
Kyle Walker pointed out in the chat too, and I can't believe, because before the show, me and Joe were actually arguing kind of who was going to talk about Chris Claremont. I mean, you can't talk about comic book writing and not talk about Chris Claremont. I'm sorry, he's when somebody says the word legend or legendary writer, I think Chris Claremont.
I'm right there. I'm right there with you, Waka. I agree.
Want to talk about create universe? I mean, who could handle a title better than Chris Claremont, man? And he didn't only work on mutant books either, but give him the mutant universe. He is the mutant universe. I bet you he is a mutant. He is an X-Men. He's the actual X-Man. He's the X-Man.
Yeah, like we said, we were going to talk about that, but we didn't want to step on each other's toes. But it's a good thing. Thank you, Waka, for bringing that up. We appreciate it.
Why don't you guys, instead of stepping on each other's toes, why don't you team up right now? We have our first All About Comics team up, and they're going to both destroy.
Wonder Twin powers activate?
That's right. All right, boom. Go.
Well, Chris Claremont, to my knowledge, right, he's the one writer who's worked on a title the longest. I believe he was working on a book for like 15 years, if I'm not mistaken, right? How long did, or probably even longer than that. Yeah, huge run.
Yeah, Punisher 88 actually left that as one of his options as the longest running writer, of course being beaten out by the writer's service or creator's service. But I was led to believe that it's just an ridiculous run with the X-Men. He molded and shaped these, what was considered the new team, like I said, of the X-Men. And just great writing. Who can forget Days of Future Past? Beautiful, great thing.
Yeah.
I was enthralled with this whole series growing up. It's great, and I'm just as enthralled now because I'm still trying to complete that little series of all Claremont. It's going to be a task, but it's worth it. It's worth it.
Well, Claremont too, like just character development, being able to handle a character, and I mean, he saved a title. He saved the X-Men title. He saved the brand.
Did he take over the reruns or the because for a time they did have reprints, correct?
Right, yeah. He had the reprints before 94 in Giant Size X-Men, and when he hopped on, it was all like, boom. You know, like during, when they say there's like alien interaction, and that's why we have the technology we have today, Chris Claremont's an alien. He when he came to the comic books, he changed it, man. That's why I believe he's a mutant. He changed this, man. And anybody who has an opportunity to go out and meet Chris Claremont, you absolutely have to. You absolutely have to take that chance and then go get that man's signature, or have a word and talk to him. It's not going to cost you $100.
Right. Of course, he didn't bring to life. Well, he pretty much brought to life what Wolverine was. He's not responsible for creating Wolverine, but he brought to life his storyline. Like I said, not responsible for his first appearance, but I don't care. He brought to life Storm and Colossus and Nightcrawler. Yeah. Just a slew of characters that were not even a supportive cast. It was a great team.
And the other titles he spawned as well. With anywhere from the Excalibur to X Factor, New Mutants. I mean, he's all over it. But this is one instance too. Like I said, I'm an art guy, and when I look at the art, that's what draws me into a book. This is really one incident in particular that the writing doesn't carry the art, but it just accentuates it. And at the time, luckily, I mean, you want to talk about an all-star book between Austin Byrne, Cockrum, Claremont. What? I mean, that's just madness. But this is definitely one particular incident where the writing just bumps up the art, and the art bumps up the writing, and you end up having a mega book. And there's nothing bigger than I can think of than the Bronze Age X-Men. Boom. There we go. What's up, sir? We just had our team up. Okay, but Chris Claremont's also worked on.
I'm listening to you guys go, man. I've never read anything Chris Claremont. I never have. I hear you guys talk about it all the time. Like, I hear you talk about it all the time. I hear, Joe, Comicfan, talk about it all the time. I hear other people talk about Chris Claremont. I never actually picked up a Chris Claremont book and read it. I have two, and those were my first two comics that I've ever gotten, right? But I never read them because I was a kid. I was like, you know what I mean? Didn't read it. But there's an Essentials that's out there for X-Men that I could go pick up and take a gander at that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's why whenever you guys start talking about stuff like that, that's why you guys doing the team up. If you see me just like staring off in the wind, it's not me like staring off in the wind. I'm actually listening to you guys about the whole Chris Claremont thing because I think it's very interesting. You know what I mean?
Well, one thing too, just not to go on about his mutant stuff too. He did some of his early stuff. He was doing one-shot pieces here. Tomb of Dracula, some Marvel 2-in-1s. He was kind of all over the place, and they were really trying to find his place as well. Like, what else can we use him for? This amazing writer, but he handled nothing better than he did with the Mutant Universe. I absolutely love it.
Well, it's good. I mean, it's definitely good. Especially when you find that writer that you enjoy. I found that writer in Eric Powell. I love reading Eric Powell stuff. I found that in reading my older comics. May not be just Stan Lee, but it's, there's more in the Silver Age that I enjoy reading as well. Matter of fact, I liked reading Amazing Adventures 1-6. That was an enjoyable read, and those are all about monsters. Now, if I'm not mistaken, was that Kirby? I know it was his artwork. Was that Kirby's writing as well, or whose writing was that? Do you remember?
Amazing Adventure. Go ahead, John.
No, I'm not even sure. I'm not even sure, to be honest.
I don't know, but it was great writing. It was great writing as well. I think, with you guys talking about Chris Claremont, that we may have to do a future show all about Chris Claremont.
Right. Bring him on.
Claremont.
Bring him on. We're going to bring him on.
Sure. Yeah.
Tune in next week. We'll hear Chris Claremont.
Yes, you heard it here first. Right.
Chris Claremont will be on. Actually talking about something that I was just thinking about. When you get a writer who's also an artist and working together, when I was talking about Jeff Lemire, and I was here looking at Jim Starlin, and what do you guys think about that, though? When you have an artist that could technically carry the whole book himself, but say he excels more at art, but he's writing the book, do you still love it? Do you like it more because you like that person's art, or vice versa?
I would talk about that too, especially since you touched on a little bit of Byrne, who's capable of doing the same thing. I would prefer something like that. Somebody to stick to one craft, if you will, because they more often you see them excel at one other than the other, and I don't really see somebody that excels at both. They're good at both, but they don't excel. They either excel at one thing or the other. It's just my opinion on that.
When I can get a writer who can do the artwork in his own book and write it, I like it more, especially if their artwork is good, along with their writing, because they know what they want to do in telling a story. But in hindsight on the situation, it's always better to have fresher eyes look at what you want. You know what I mean? I look at it that way, but being more of a newer collector, the only people that can come into mind that do something like that is, you got a Scotty Young. He's done that with this I Hate Fairyland, which is very good. I enjoyed it for the first arc. Second arc was kind of booty, but he even said it himself, it was booty. Chris Girusso, not to toot his horn again, but he does his own art and writing as well. And he has a great little, weekly thing that comes out, and it's funny as hell. Another one, Eric Powell.
There you go. I was waiting for you to name drop that. There you go.
Yeah, Eric Powell does the same thing,
I would say that he excelled at both, although I do admire his art more than his writing.
Exactly. Well, even if Jeff Lemire, if Jeff Lemire can go ahead and do his own artwork and write, it probably will come out because, like Biggie said, the AD after death, he's doing the artwork and it's all watercolor, and Scott Snyder's writing. But there's another series coming out after that. That's going to be Jeff Lemire. I'm hoping it's just Jeff Lemire where he's doing his own artwork in the watercolor form, which it looks like, and and doing the writing. And I think it'll be really good because I think Jeff Lemire is a good writer. I mean, that's how I look at it. But boys, we're coming to the end game. So why don't we go ahead and wrap this up, man? Comicfan, what do you got for us at the end here?
At the end, I think this was a great show. It was something that actually took some thought. When you presented these questions to me earlier, I was like, wow, this is some pretty deep stuff. We're actually going to get into the meat of something, and I'm so glad we actually touched upon these. Big thumbs up to Comic Crypt of Castle Kills coming back. Oh, man, I love his stuff. Yeah, very awesome. Cool. I can't wait. With that said, I'll pass it along.
What you got, Sean?
Well, again, writing is not really my forte when it comes to comic books, but that's all the more reason I feel like we got to talk about stuff like that. We got to get into stuff that is not being talked about in some of the off airs and things like that, or that I usually go towards because I love learning about comics and stuff like that. Big shout out to everybody in the chat who stuck around and chilled with us and asked questions and contributions. What's up to Jared Osborne? What's up?
Yes.
This might be happening soon, so everybody be patient with me. This is going to be happening. That's all I'll say about that. So yeah, good show.
All right. Well, again, thank you for everyone coming by, watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Next week we'll probably doing something good as well. We always do something fun. I don't know.
It'll be good.
It'll be good. I didn't look at the topics for next week.
If everybody do me a favor, share out this video. Leave comments below when the chat goes down. You can leave comments. Let us know what you thought of the show after if you're watching this in replay. If not, you can check us all out. We're all over on Facebook as well, and you can catch up on all the links. Follow me on Google+, and you will get direct links to this show when it goes up on Saturdays. Sorry we ran a little bit late today, but we had some issues that came up, but we saw right through it. It's all good. And, yeah.
That's it, boys. So everybody have a good one, and just as Jared Osborne says, y'all come back now, you hear?